Hello and welcome to another free code session. My name is Jason Bach, and before we get into the issue that you actually see on the screen right here, I want to mention briefly that the work I did in the previous episode where I updated benchmark mocknet to target .NET 5 and also target the latest version of Rocks, that you can look at the build process of I think it's the GitHub action that he uses. You can see the results there where he runs everything. And he reported, and I'm going to put the tweet up right now, Steve reported that the preliminary results do show that Rocks is the fastest. And that's kind of a nice thing. You know, I'm very curious to see, because I'm not, now that I think about it, fake it easy. I know that MOQ is targeting, I believe, source generators for version 5, but that still isn't done as far as I know. In fact, if I go look up in NuGet and look up MOQ, I do not, yeah, they still have 461. So that is not targeting the 5.0 source generator stuff. I don't know if Fake It Easy is doing that yet. I don't know if they have an issue. Release vNext. Just looking at this, yeah, consider using this. They really should. Yeah, so I was just reading some of the things that they're talking about here, and I'm going to keep this up because I should respond to them and say, hey, for what it's worth, I changed my thing, and you can keep your code in source control if you emit it to disk. I wouldn't do that, but you can do that. And they don't have a templating mechanism, which is funny because that's going to lead to what I'm going to talk about today. But it's like, I don't know. Anyway, I don't think any of them, I don't think NSubstitute has any plans of going to source generators. But, it's one of those things where it was nice and motivating to see the results that currently exist. And the results are he said he's going to do some changes to just the overall structure. And then he's going to publish official results probably next week. And it is by far the fastest, and that just was a nice feeling, because it's not a game, it's not a who's the best, but there's a part of me that goes, it's kind of nice to see the work that I did, because it took some time to get Rocks to be source generated, even though it was funny, it was generating source up until version 5, but then it was compiling that with the compiler API. It was doing a whole bunch of reflection stuff. As soon as I changed that over to being source generated using the compiler API, now it's code that's part of the assembly, and you can tell it just by the benchmarks, it's much, much faster that way. So yeah, even though I was doing caching, even though I was doing all this stuff before, that's no longer necessary. So, yeah, it's pretty cool. I like it. Anyway, so I'm going to keep this up because I want to say, hey, for what it's worth. So anyway, they were talking about templating, and that's kind of what I'm getting into here. And I have to admit, my motivation to do this has been kind of lessened after I've been playing with Scriban. I think I've been calling it Scribian. I think I've actually been spelling it that way, and I've been completely wrong. So if you've heard me say that in previous episodes, if you've seen me do a presentation, I apologize. I was wrong. I was putting an extra I in there where there isn't any. Anyway, I've been playing with it. I have is that the one that's up here? No, my computer did an update last night, and I need the handy, trusty console app 5 up. That was my explorations. Side note, I was installing Visual Studio 2022 Preview 3 yesterday, and I got to a point where it was saying it couldn't download a package. Long story short, they had an issue on their end with some CDN thing. But fortunately, I was able to catch this online, and rather than just saying continue without installing it or roll it back or whatever. I just waited until they finally got it pushed up, and then I finished and went through, and I played with it just a little bit. It seems better than the first preview 1 that I installed, or preview 2. And there's some subtle UI changes that look a little cleaner, a little nicer, that I like. So, but really it's the performance of 2022 that I'm interested in. So we'll see. I might try to go back to using that as my default Visual Studio for a while and see how that goes. Anyway, so that all got installed and everything was good. But for some reason, my computer last night decided to reboot. So now I've got this up. So I was playing with Scriban, and it's basically a templating engine. As you can see here, I actually have a template here. Okay. And it has a syntax where you do double curly braces. You can do if statements and everything in there. And I guess there's a template syntax called Liquid or something that they also support, which is what this is close to. I'm not sure. It does this where it basically does this rendering of the stuff that you're passing in. You can see I made a record here to pass stuff in, then I'm passing in here to render, and then it takes them and underscores them and puts it lowercases them and then puts an underscore in between. And I don't know. I don't really like that it's forcing that convention, but it's a minor thing. This is mostly playing with it. So you basically create a template, you parse it, which I'm believing you'd want to cache this because this just could be reused over and over. That's what I was doing here and seeing what the differences between the two would be. And then if I run this, what you'll see is at the end of the day, if it would actually build any moment now, okay, you can see we get this. The problem that I'm having with this, and I have this built as a expression syntax. We use the arrow, and that's the way it's currently done in inline mapping. But with the way that the spacing control works with Scriban, I don't get how, like you'll see here, there's a space here because I say that this is not a reference type, it's a value type, so then it doesn't put the check for is null there. Of course, if we're in C#10, I could do things where I think they're going to do the namespace where you could do that, and then I wouldn't have to worry about having that there. And I don't think they're doing the parameter null checking. In C#10, I think they got pushed, but then I could have just put that as a bang, I think here, and then don't even check this. You just put the bang there if you actually needed a value type or reference type check, argument null check. So, I started getting too hung up on things, but the point of doing this is to say, is Scriban faster than using indented text writer? My gut is that this should actually lessen some code. It should actually make it a little bit less code, but I'm not entirely sure about that. But I committed to saying that this was going to be an experiment. So I'm going to do the experiment, and yeah, I'm, I don't want to say I'm dreading it, but I kind of am, just because I'm not that excited about this idea anymore. The using indented text writer works. It's not very clean. This is a little bit more readable, but not much, and with something like rocks, the thing I'm also, like another source generator I've written, which I've just talked about, is the problem is that it's so complicated at times. And how do you do that with templates? Can you have nested templates? Can you, I don't know. It starts making me feel like trying to force it into a template may become really, really difficult. So for something simple like this, I may decide to use it or not, but if it's really not that big of a difference, then I'll stick with indented text writer. But I'm not trying to put this library down. It seems like a very well written library. It seems like it's got a lot of features to it, and it's intriguing to me at the very least. I just don't know if it really maps well to what I want to do with source generators. but that's why we do experiments. So what is this? This is 29. So let's go into here and let's make a new branch, 29, Scriban experiment. Create. Okay. So what I'm going to do is create two separate generators. They're going to look for the same attributes. They're going to use the same receiver because that doesn't change. But then how the code gets generated will be different. I'm also thinking of prefixing the map2 type, maybe having like map2 type underscore S, just to give it a different name so that when I do performance testing on it, I can have two different ones that I can call and see what the... Well, no, that's... I want a different name. No, I don't. Because I'm not testing... Yeah, that's true. I'm not testing the performance of the mapping of the source generated code. That I already know what that does. That's not going to be any different. What is going to be different is how the generated code is created. So I want to look at just generating the code. So those will be in two separate things and they won't collide. So that should be okay. So we'll keep it the same name. Okay. But I do need two different types here. So we're going to have a map from, map to, mapping builder, map receiver. Where's the generator? Map generator. So we're going to have a map. What should we call this? Map via Scribian generator? Scribian. See, I keep saying it wrong. Scribian. Scriban generator. Map Scribian. See, once your mind gets stuck on a way of saying something, you can't stop it. Map via Scriban generator. Okay. Now, the one thing too here is I also need to reference, and yeah, I need to look something up here because when you reference a package with a source generator package, it gets a little weird in terms of how it uses it. And again, just this is an experiment. There is that WebAssembly generator where I need to reference something from another package. So I want to look at, I guess I don't even need to open the whole frickin' solution, but we're already here, so let's just do that. And if I come over here, come on. Just because I'm recording doesn't mean this takes forever. Any day now. Okay, so yeah, you reference it here. Private assets, generate path property, say it's true. And then you need to, there's a props file. Oh, that's just, yeah, never mind. That's me. So there's something that you have to do down here at the specific package files to make it show up. And then targets for TM specific content and package. And I also think, if I remember, if I go to Scribian here, Scriban! Oh my God, Jason, stop it. Package comes with source included, so you can internalize your usage of Scribian in your projects. You can easily consume to get references. Scribian sources under that servers, you should not modify Scribian where I won't. In order to activate this feature, you need to set the property package Scriban include sources to true in your project. And include assets, which I think is what... No, that's not what I did here for this one. If you're targeting down this center, that can come from a dependency you already have. Okay. So I might just try this. So... yeah. Microsoft C#. But if you reference these, then it's interesting that it comes with source included, because I thought there was a way to basically say a NuGet package could be that you can I forget the term off the top of my head, where you can actually step into the code and it knows where the source is and all the other stuff. So this actually includes the source itself, which is kind of interesting. Package Scribian includes source. I wonder what's doing to do that. Include the assets build. I'm just concerned that by doing this, excuse me, but it's saying that's all you need to do. So I guess we could try these and see if by what we already have referenced, these come along for the ride and do they just work. So let's try that. So we'll come back to here. Let's say, no, not add. We want to do manage, and we're going to do Scriban. Scriban. Yeah. Oh, no, we want that. We'll do that. Install. And then what we're going to do is come into here and say in our property group, what's this called? Package Scriban. And then we need to put this. Well, that's, and then what do we say here? Include assets build. Right? Yes. Okay. So we got that. And then I know there was a code error just because I changed this name and it still thinks it's, come on. Oh my God, why are you so slow? Okay, let's just see what happens when we build it. Okay, build failed, and that took a way longer time. Oh, I guess we need to reference Microsoft C#, huh? Microsoft C#. Sure. So now we should have that there. Let's try building again and see if that fixed anything. I mean, the whole analyzer, generator, package, it's such a mess. It really is. And then I don't care what answers you keep getting from Microsoft about it having to be this way. It's just, it's a mess. It's harder than it needs to be, in my opinion. That got better. Yeah, it's picking up. Well, I guess that's good that it did that. But what it's doing is it's picking up now. I believe that the two are now colliding with each other. So I guess I should have a underscore S or something like that there to differentiate it so that we don't get two extension methods with the exact same signature. All right, but at least we got that working. So now what do we do here? We don't need to change the receiver. The receiver is still good. This generates mappings. That's this method, okay? So the mapping information here, the thing that we really want to get out of this is, this may be where we need to change it. And this also, as a side note, maybe if I don't, whatever way I go here, yeah, is this. I'm actually generating a part of the code here, and really all I need to do is preserve the property name because it's going to be the same on both sides. That doesn't change. Unless in the future I would say, oh, by the way, this property actually maps to this property, so make them map. And, you know, this is where I'm making the library become just a monster, and I don't want to do that right now. So stretching because it's the morning. Okay. The point is that I really don't want, because you get all this map stuff here, and maps has this really complicated type where you have the source and the destination as your key, and then you have the diagnostics, you have the syntax node, you have the mutable array of string, which is maps, and containing namespace kind is kind. What I really want to do is make this so that you're only preserving this. So you know what? We're going to do this. We're going to make another type. Mapping via Scriban information. Okay, I'm going to do that, that, that. And then that should all go, except now the maps type is not going to be an immutable collection of what can be still a string of maps. That's okay. That's fine. But what we're going to do here is we're just going to add source property dot name. That's it. We're not actually going to do this. Okay. And so in this case, we get what we want. So that's actually fine. Okay, so let's go back to this. We're going to now do via, oh, come on. There you go. And we can do that, except now we need the mapping builder. And now the mapping builder, we should have a mapping. Oh God, no. Did I just, no, I did. Okay, good. I thought I didn't copy and paste. So we need a mapping via Scriban. So I'm going to get this name right. Okay, so we're going to have anywhere in here, change that to that. Good. Now, this is where we start to change things. Do all the things. Stuff. So, all right. So, if the source is not a global namespace. Oh, this is where, yeah, I put the, yeah, this is where a template would be better because I jam all this stuff together at the end to kind of fake it out. The problem too is that because of this global namespace, this is where if namespace was just like a one-liner, what they're planning on, now I have to figure out how do I put like the namespace thing and then do it at the bottom. But that's what I'm doing here. I mean, at some point I decide to do that. And oh God. So yeah, I have to figure out what I'm also going to need to do is create an object that I can pass in all this information to the template and figure out like what is the name of the template. Or what is, like in this example, what is the namespace that I need to put in as a namespace, if at all? Okay. And then I also need to have the namespaces here. So yeah, this is going to get a little different, but it might also get a lot better. So what do we need here? We need and what are we calling this over here? Mapping stuff. Mapping context. Mapping Scribian context. Why not? Again, this is just an experiment, you know. Name. This is your drinking game, by the way, for this video. The amount of times that I've mispronounced Scriban, take a drink. You won't survive. Okay. It's not going to happen. Okay. So what we're going to do here is we're going to create a record. Public. Oh, crap. This is .NET Standard 2.0, so I don't know if I can actually create a record. Son of a... Darn it. Anyway, that's okay. Fine. Public sealed class. Mapping Scriban context. Okay, so now what's the first thing I need here? I'm going to need you to pass me in what's namespaces here. And namespace is gatherer. Oh, that's right, because the namespace is gatherer. Yeah, it's another project I need to work on. Okay. And this is where you get, yeah, so that's okay. Don't know what that's going to do when I pass it into the template. But we're going to find out. So we need public mapping Scribian context namespace gatherer. Okay. I say this dot. This is why I wish it was smarter. And this isn't going to work because we're going to say, yeah, for now this isn't going to work because it doesn't know what that means. And so we need to make a public. So why are you making it internal? I guess it doesn't matter. Internal. All right. Except here, we want to actually pass in the namespace. Okay. And so we'll have a, and this can be string. It can be null. And that's a keyword, so we can't do that. And now, you just say, and you don't know what that is, that's okay. Oh, and that has to be there. Okay. So that would take care of all this. I mean, we still have to do this logic here to figure out, you know, adding the namespace, but here we would just say, you know, the namespace variable that we're going to pass into the context is going to be that value. And then we'll figure out in the template how to render that. Okay. And then we just add the namespaces here. Here's where we're going to start building the type, but I'm near time for this episode. So I will pick up building more of this out as I move on, and we'll see where this goes. And if I remember right, we do have a performance test project here. And this is a mapping test just with these, but what I want to do is a Scribian test. And so I will figure out how to actually get it. Oh, is this? Oh yeah, it's a, yeah, well, shoot. That's not quite what I wanted. Output, I'm referencing that as that. And that's not really as far as I want to go. I actually want to control the building of the mapped code. That's what matters in this case. So I might have to change this project to comment out all that stuff, change this to not be an analyzer so I can directly talk to the generators and see what happens. Okay, that's, again, experimentation. So that's what I'll do in the next episode. Thank you all for watching. Leave comments and questions below. See you in the next episode.